Welcome to the Jessica Queenly Show, where I share my fun and excitement with you guys. If you are a new subscriber, thank you so much for joining my channel and subscribing. If you are an old subscriber, thank you so much for your continued support. And if this is your very first time coming across this channel or content in general, I ask that you give it a like and subscribe to the channel if you like what you see. So other than that, with no further ado, let's get on with the show. Hey y'all. So welcome to my first official movie review of one of my favorite movies of all times, Remember the Titans. I decided that I want to start doing movie reviews, or at least seeing how it goes, because I really want to start doing reviews on movies that I really enjoy, because I know I like watching them, from other people. So I want to see how it goes as far as me reviewing some of my favorite movies and kind of giving you guys my take on them, because I have realized that I have a very unique, you know, the way of thinking, and my takes can be quite different than a lot of others. So we're gonna kind of see how this goes. And yeah, so welcome to my first official movie review, at least in this format anyway. So anyway, Remember the Titans. For those of you who haven't seen the movie, it is a movie that takes place in the early 1970s in Alexandria, Virginia, and it pretty much focuses on a school called T.C. Williams. Um, during integration, during this period of integration, and it pretty much shows how this football coach kind of was able to transform, these football players' lives, and kind of changing the face of racism in the time of integration in such an intense time. So yeah, that's kind of the gist of what the movie is about, and it got some pretty good heavy hitters in this movie as well. It's starring Denzel Washington, Will Patton, Donald Faison, uh, and Wood Harris. I kind of forgot. I was like, his name is Wood something. Wood Harris. Okay, just to name a few. So anyway, um, I guess getting into the actual movie review. So it starts off with, some people going to a funeral, and has this girl narrating, saying how like football in her town, her city, is the way of life, and how T.C. Williams kind of changed that dynamic in 1971, and then it kind of starts with the kind of goes back to the beginning of how everything started. So after the girl, gets done narrating and they leave the funeral scene, it takes us back to the beginning where Coach Yost, who's played by Will Patton, is coaching his football team at T.C. Williams High School. And, Ryan Gosling, I forget his name in the movie, but he runs up interrupting the practice, letting the guys know that, something just went down at the store. A black guy just got shot by a black store owner, and it's showing a whole bunch of angry protesters, from both sides, black and white or whatever. So you can already imagine it was a mess outside. And of course, they want to make it their business to go and be nosy, basically. And so Coach Yost tells them, hey, if y'all want to ever play for me again, y'all gonna get in this truck, because we is not finna go get in that business. We gonna mind our business. And he takes them inside the school building, along with I think his assistant coach, his then assistant coach. And they go into this room, and that's when they meet Coach Yost, who's played by Denzel Washington. And they like, what are you doing here, kind of thing. He was like, I actually was here, because they arranged for me to meet with y'all, today or whatever. And they was like, well, we didn't hire you, da da da. He's like, well, the school board did that, so I'm just here doing my job, basically, so to speak. So that was kind of like the whole basis of them, Coach Yost and Coach Boone meeting, because they end up being really they end up being very inspiring together, as the movie goes on. Okay, so from there, it shows Coach Boone and his wife and his kids, his family, basically moving into a new neighborhood, probably close to the school, you know, probably in the school district or whatever. And it's a white neighborhood, obviously, because it's showing the neighbor saying, um, you know, looking at them moving in, saying, "Oh, the blacks is coming," or basically, you know, whatever. And they not taking it too well that, you know, it's a black family moving into their neighborhood. Okay, and then it cuts to a scene where Coach Boone is at home talking to this black man. I'm guessing he's somebody that's part of the school board too or something. I don't know, but anyway, he's asking him to step down um, for Coach Yost. Actually, I forgot a part. So before it was showing Coach Boone and his family moving in, I guess the superintendent was telling Coach Yost and his daughter that, you know, Coach Boone is going to be the new head coach of TC Williams High School football, and his daughter was not having it. His daughter was not having it. He was like, "My daddy's the head coach, and this is supposed to be his Hall of Fame year. You guys can't do this to him." And you know, she just was not having it. And you know, the superintendent was like, "Sorry, you know, that's just what it is. You know, they're asking for him, for Coach Boone to be the new head coach or whatever." So, you know, she's having a fit or whatever, and then it cuts to the Coach Boone and his family moving into the apparently white neighborhood that they're not taking too well to. And then, you know, Coach Boone it cuts to another scene where Coach Boone is talking to this black man who's obviously asking him to step down to let Coach Boone, Coach Yost, remain the head coach or whatever. And he's like, "I can't do that because I did that back in North Carolina where I'm from, and I ended up regretting it. So I'm not doing that. Not no more. I'm not." And so while he's having this conversation with him, Coach Boone's wife come in and she's like, "We got a little situation outside," and you know, knowing black people in racially tense times like that, he probably think he got to go get his. I'm gonna say pew pew because I'm not sure you can say that word on this on here. I'm not sure if it's like TikTok or not, but he think he probably need to go get his pew pew. You know what I'm saying? And so he go outside to assess the situation, what's going on, and there's a whole bunch of people, black people out there in his front yard just cheering him on. And so already in this movie, it's starting to pick up. You know, the tension is starting to already feel a little bit lighter because it's giving you hope and excitement for, you know, how things are going to turn out with Coach Boone being the new head coach, you know, like a black head coach of a, I guess, formerly all white school. You know, now that they're integrating, TC Williams is the school that I'm assuming the first school that they were trying to one of the first schools probably that they were trying to integrate in Alexandria, Virginia. So I'm pretty sure it probably went from being an all white school to both black and white, and now while in the process of them doing that, they making a black man the head of the football team. So people are not happy about that. What black people is happy about it, but everybody else ain't. So yeah, there's that. Okay, so as y'all probably figured out, I am watching this as I'm doing this review because I don't want to skip over anything that's important. And I was just watching it and I just notice how like the same black dude that was just asking Coach Boone to step down so that Coach Yost can continue to stay the head coach and have his little Hall of Fame, enjoy his little Hall of Fame year or whatever. He just got done saying he wanted him to step down, and then now that his wife was like, "Hey, we got a little situation outside," and he see a whole bunch of people black people in his yard cheering him on, saying how much they need him or how happy they are to have him as you know, the head coach of this football team. Now the same man that just got done saying they're talking about, so you see, we need you, Coach, bro. Like, this dude is so fake. You literally just got done 10 seconds ago, you just got done asking me to step down. Now because you see everybody else happy for me, now you like, oh, see, we need you, Coach Bro. That is so fake. I just feel like I needed to point that out right there because yeah. So yeah, while he he goes outside or whatever, and one of the parents of the kids he's gonna be coaching steps up to him and shakes his hand and introduces himself, and he was like, "This is my boy Julius. He could be the finest defensive end in the state if you push him to it. You like the answer to our prayers. You like da da da." And he was like, and Coach Boone cut him off right there. He was like, "Nah, wait. I ain't all that. I ain't the answer to your prayers. I ain't Jesus Christ, Easter Bunny, and none of that. I'm just a football coach. So I'm gonna need y'all to pipe down a little bit because." I understand that y'all happy for me, but I'm already accepting this job with being understanding that I'm under an incredible amount of pressure. So I do not need any more extra pressure from y'all. I appreciate y'all happy for me, but I'm gonna need y'all to calm down. All right, yeah. So anyway, after that, it cuts to the scene where Coach Boone is going over to Coach Yo's house to kind of smooth things over because he already understands that being in such racially intense times where integration is being enforced upon everybody is a uncomfortable situation for everybody. So he just kind of want to smooth things over as much as he can, and just create less tension as possible. So he goes over to Coach Yo's house. Oh yeah, and Julius, the football player, is played by Wood Harris, by the way, for all y'all that didn't know. But yeah, so anyway, he goes to Coach Yo's house or whatever to try to smooth things over. His brat of a daughter answers the door, and he's like, "Is Coach Yo's here?" And she's like, "He's busy. He's busy interviewing for head coaching jobs and certainly ain't got no time for you." Woohoo! Listen, I already understand that it's a lot of people that had to hold back then. They had to do a whole lot more holding back than we have to do these days. I can tell you that right now. But yeah, so he was like, I guess after she got done saying that, her daddy came, from behind her, was like, we could talk in the back or whatever. But yeah, his little daughter's a brat. But yeah, so anyway, they was talking about, like how they gonna do this or whatever. Coach Boone offered for him to stay because I think they were planning on giving him another job somewhere else at another school. But Coach Boone was like, "Actually, I would rather you stay and be my assistant coach, and we could work together so that the students that are planning on going to another school because of me can stay because I want you to stay. And so if you stay as a coach, they more likely will stay as students as well, and hopefully we can make this whole thing easier altogether." But yeah, so Coach Yost, I don't think he was taking too kind to that. He was kind of like, so basically you want me to work under you. And he was like, "That's the way you see it, whatever." He was like, "Good night, coach. That's enough. Like, you done lost your mind." So anyway, I think the next scene shows him at like a conference or whatever, him announcing that he's going to take a job at another school called Lawton High, whatever. And people is not having it. They're like, "Nah, he can't take your job." Da, 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 da. Saying all type of racist stuff. And yeah. So anyway, the next scene cuts to Coach Yost after that whole thing with him announcing him going to another school, whatever. He has a moment with his daughter and he's reflecting on the situation, and he decides that he don't want to abandon his students, so he think it's best to just go ahead and stay. And then we cut straight to the scene where at the school the black kids are meeting up for the I guess for football or whatever. And first thing you see is Donald Faison, giving high fives, talking about black hand side, and and everybody's just super excited. I feel like it's very high energy in this scene or whatever, you know what I'm saying? They like, so Petey, how many, oh, his name is Petey, John Faison, his name is Petey, and his character's name is Petey in this movie. But yeah, he's like, how many yards you think you gonna get this season, bro? He was like, well, I don't want to brag, but I figured at least 1,000. He was like, don't want to brag. Okay, so everybody's egos is high. They're excited, you know, they get to, you know, do their thing with a black football coach. So to them, this is epic, you know, but for the other people on the team, you know, it's not, you know, not so epic. They feel like this is something that's getting in the way, in their way. So yeah. So anyway, we proceed with this scene where the black kids are meeting up for their little football meeting or whatever. When they, you know, for them to meet the coach and everything. And you know, after they get all hype with each other, it shows Coach Boone comes in and straightens them out and lets them know what his expectation is, what his expectations are, and like what the rules is for football camp. So he was like, so this is basically how it's gonna go. If you survive camp, we're gonna go to such and such, you know, place at Gettysburg College on August 15th. You know, if you survive camp, you're gonna be on the team. If you don't, then hey, you know, it ain't my problem. He's basically letting them know that he's setting high expectations. He's not gonna be easy on nobody, so don't expect it just because he's black and, you know, y'all black or whatever. And yeah, so while he's, you know, giving them, you know, the go around, whatever, he's letting them know that I want y'all to dress nice, put on, y'all need to show up with a jacket, shirt, and tie. You don't have one, buy one. Can't afford one, to borrow one from your old man. If you don't have an old man, then find a drunk, trade him for his. Because I guarantee you, it's not a bum on the street that's looking as raggedy and ridiculous as what I'm looking at right now. This ain't no democracy. This is the dictatorship, and I am the law. Okay, so he was basically laying down the law very nicely, so that, or you know, very sternly, should I say, so that these students know what to expect. He is not going to be soft on them at all. And while he's straightening them out and letting them know what to expect, here come this white boy just running in, you know, out of nowhere like a bat out of hell or something, and they like, boy, are you lost? Are you lost or something? And then right after him, here comes the Coach Yost and the rest of the, you know, white team or whatever, coming in, interrupting their little meeting. And Coach Yost is kind of trying to push his power around, trying to let him know like how Coach Boone should run his own thing or whatever. And obviously we can kind of see right here in this part of the movie that Coach Yost and Coach Boone still got some power dynamics to work out. And, you know, Coach Boone is like, listen, I want to run this the way I want to run it, because, you know, what you trying to push, you know, run things, try to push your power on me and run things, it's just, you know what I'm saying, it's only so much I can stretch for you, you know what I'm saying? I already told you I want you to be my assistant coach and I'm willing to work with you, but you overcooking my grits, coach. I love this, another thing, I love the sayings in this movie, like, you overcooking my grits, coach. Like, I love that. I think I did borrow that back in the day when I you know, officially fell in love with this movie. But yeah, let's see what else happened. Oh yeah, and so part of that scene where Coach Yost and the rest of the white team interrupted, you know, when Coach Yost and Coach Boone were talking about how, you know, the power dynamics and how it's gonna be or whatever. Coach Yost is basically saying, I want my assistant coach to be a part of this, because if he can't come, then I'm not coming. You don't get me without him. So he was like, that's what made him say you overcooking my grits, because he was only planning on making room for you, and now you want him to make room for him too. So I think that's what made him say that. But yeah, so yeah, I think the next part is they're gonna get on the bus to go to camp or whatever, and Julius and Gary Bertier, they getting ready to go to camp or whatever. So anyway, there's the black kids on the black bus and there's the white kids on the other bus. Oh shoot, my light just went out. That's okay. And yeah, like they thinking that they're gonna go to the camp on 2 different buses, and that's they finna find out that that's not the reality or whatever of the situation. So Coach Boone comes and he assesses the situation. He decides to tell everybody to get off the bus, and um yeah, hold on. Okay, so that's what it was. So before they everybody got on the bus, because the students was currently getting on their own separate buses, and Gary and his friend Ray decides to go up to Coach Boone and let him know that, what they not finna do, and blah blah blah, trying to tell him how to run things, basically, or what they expect out of him. Like, I don't think that's the way it go, but okay. And so he was like, what's your name? And he was like, Gary. He said, Jerry? No, I said Gary. No, you must have said Jerry like Lewis, which would make your little friend here, Dean Martin, right? So he decides to make a little announcement to embarrass them or whatever. And based on them trying to come to him running things, made him, decide to shake some things up. So that's when he decided to tell everybody to get off the bus and group everybody into pairs of black and whites, and both black and white is gonna be on the buses because y'all want to do this. So yeah, that's what made him want to shake things up. Okay, so in this next scene, they are going to they're getting situated at Gettysburg College at the football camp or whatever. And Julius, they ended up pairing Coach Boone ended up pairing Julius and Gary Bertier together. So they have the room together or whatever. And as Julius is putting up his black posters and stuff, black pride posters and stuff, Gary, of course, got a problem with it. He like, I'm not looking at that for 2 weeks. Take it down. He was like, you can close your eyes for 2 weeks. All I care, won't you look at your wall, not look at mine. He was like, I look wherever I want, and I'm not looking at that for 2 weeks. And then, of course, they start fighting. And then Ryan Gosling's character, his name is Alan. He sees them fighting, and he announces the fight. He's like, fight! And now all the football players are fighting. So, of course, it's another job for Coach Boone to rectify. So he, gets them all together, lets them know he ain't having that, and they go to their first football practice. So anyway, when we go to the scene where they're practicing, they do their first practice or whatever. Coach Yost is already not feeling Coach Boone's coaching style. He already feel like he too hard on him, and he just looking at him. He ain't said nothing yet, but he just looking like, I don't like this. I don't like this. He just, because, Coach Yost have a softer approach to coaching, and, Coach Boone clearly is very stern. He's very much no nonsense approach. And he, Coach Yost ain't really feeling that, you know what I'm saying? He kind of think he's too hard. So he kind of is, looking at him a certain way right now. And then we cut to the part where a scene where they're all in the cafeteria eating. Of course, black people eating with black people, white people eating with white people. Of course, they still are mentally segregating each other. And this white guy comes to sit down. What is his name? Let me see if I can see what his name is. His name is, see what his character name is. I don't even see him, but anyway, I've seen him in other movies before. I think his name is, his character name is Louis. So Louis Lastic. So Louis Lastic comes and sits down at the black table, or one of the black tables or whatever. And they're like, what you doing, man? You can't sit over here. He was like, why not? Or whatever. I play defense, like it's a defense table, right? And they, and so anyway, one of the black players, they decided to lighten up the mood. He's like, that's okay, let him sit here, he's just a light-skinned brother, it's okay. And they kind of let him sit and kind of smooth things over or whatever. So being a lighter moment. Okay, so anyway, Coach Boone is noticing that the students, even though he paired them up purposely, you know, black, one white, and how they are, he paired them to be together, you know, even rooming together, you know, black and white, but they still take every chance they get to separate themselves. So when they go to the cafeteria to eat, they still separate themselves with black and white tables. They're still sitting separately. So he kind of sees this, and he's, you know, kind of feeling like he might need to do a little something to make them more comfortable with each other even more, because apparently they not comfortable. They just doing, you know, what they have to, when they have to, I guess you could say, as far as rooming and stuff goes. But they not obviously feeling each other like that, and he don't like that. He wants them to actually come together and, you know, as a football team, and actually be friends with each other. So he decided to implement the next thing that he wants them to do, is which is get to know each other. I want y'all to actually get to know each other. I want y'all to know what each other's likes and dislikes is about each other. I want y'all to learn about each other's families. Like, I really want y'all to really get to know each other for real. Like, I don't want y'all to just do all this faking the funk for us as the coaches, or me as the coach, because the other coaches ain't really feeling this whole situation either. But yeah, you know, so it's kind of like, this is where you kind of start to see his vision for the team. Also, after that, he decides to wake the entire team up at 3 o'clock in the morning to run, to do like I don't even know how many hours it took them to run, where did they run to? So he decided to make them run all the way to where they fought the Battle of Gettysburg, you know, and he gave this nice, very nice, touching speech about, you know, they died because of the same problems y'all have with each other. They died fighting for it. And, you know, I want y'all to take this time to come together and really think about, is this racial tension with each other really worth it? You know, because if y'all, the sooner y'all come together, the sooner we really can be a winning team for real. And it seemed like that message, him making them run for all them hours to where they fought the Battle of Gettysburg, it really came through to them, because after that you start seeing them be a lot more comfortable with each other. They joking with each other, and you know, you just start to see the movie really pick up, you know. So I thought that was really nice. So anyway, now we cut to a scene where it's the end of one of the football practices, and we see another character in this movie. The character is Ronnie, but his real name is Kip Pardue. He rolls up with his father. His father's in the military or whatever, and they like, hey, I want to put my son on the team or whatever. And Coach Boone was like, hey, you checked out some of the other ones? If your boy's any good? And he was like, well, I checked out, you know, this other school or whatever, but the head coach is black, and he only let blacks play on his team. And I figure if these boys can fight a war together, they can play football together. And I was like, I know that's right. I know that's the fuck right. But yeah, so and so anyway, upon their approach, Gary decides to, you know, call him a fruitcake. I guess because he got long hair or something. He looked like a pretty boy or something. I don't know. But he decided to call him a fruitcake. Like, hey, fellas, look at that fruitcake. And so anyway, Ronnie decides to throw the football with extremely accurate aim, like all the way across the football field where they was at, and hit him right here in the back of the head. And you know, that was already impressive. That was impressive enough for Coach Jost to be like, I think we could find a spot for your boy. You know, I could see how this is gonna go already. We got a spot for him already. So yeah. So anyway, we see them go to the locker room, and how they have to cut his hair, because I guess he can't have that long hair or whatever. And you know, they making jokes, they're having fun, they singing, and this is like another part of the movie where you start to really see them come together as a team, like really liking each other. So I always thought that was pretty nice, that they, you know, the movie seemed so much lighter once Coach Boone got through to them after he gave that Battle of Gettysburg speech. Like, it really got to them, got through to them, and I'm glad that it did, because it really makes the rest of the movie, for the most part, so much lighter. Okay, so now cutting straight to the scene where football camp is over. They coming back and they happy with each other. You know what I'm saying? Like on the way to football camp, there was racial tensions. They didn't like each other, da da da. And now they coming back and they basically best friends. So yeah, like the people at the school was like, are they high or something? What's wrong? What's going on with them? And this is also the point where Coach Yost officially meets Coach Boone's wife, and Coach Yost's daughter and Coach Boone's daughter meet each other. And apparently, you know, there's some racial tension still going on with everybody outside the football team. Because apparently, you know, the football team is the only people who's been changed in this whole situation. So the rest of the school still racist. The kids, you know, still got racial tension with each other. So, you know, I think at this point it kind of shows that Cheryl is Coach Boone's daughter name, and I can't remember what Coach Boone's daughter name is, but anyway, you can kind of tell that they have some racial tensions going on with each other, because the way they was sizing each other up, and the white girl already had something to say to the black girl, talking about, why you dressed like that, like, you know. So it just kind of shows that they gonna probably try to work on their relationship with each other too. Okay, so now we're cutting straight to the scene where they're getting ready to have their first football game officially, and the black man that Coach Boone was talking to in the beginning of the movie, he called him Doc, so we're just gonna refer to him as Doc, because I don't really know what his official role is in this movie. But he was like, Coach, I'm afraid that I put you in a no-win situation. He was like, what you mean by that? He was like, well, you know, they saying that if you lose a game, they gonna fire you on the spot, just like that. If you lose a game, if you lose just one game, that's your job, and they gonna give it back to Yost, Coach Yost. And he's like, just like that, one game, just like that. And he was like, yeah. He was like, so what about my family? We just moved here. They just expect us to pick up and move. You know, what about my girls? And he was like, I know, but I'm just letting you know that that's what they saying. They saying that that's what it is, because they really don't want him to win. They really, you can tell that this is something they was forced upon the school board or whoever it is that makes these decisions, and it's a lot of white pressure on them to like try to find ways to get Coach Boone out. And so this is one of the ways that they are trying to strategize to get him out of here. And so yeah, so now he feeling even more pressure than he was already feeling in the beginning of the movie when all the black people was praising him. And so now he got to figure out, you know, how to take this one step at a time. Okay, so we see the scene where they're at the first football game, and with the coach just getting the information he just got. Of course, he was very nervous. You know, it showed him, you know, throwing up right before he was talking to the team. So he decided to give this speech saying, you know, I ain't gonna talk to you about winning and losing. I just want y'all to do y'all best. And in his mind, he's mentally preparing for whatever. You know what I'm saying? He's mentally preparing for whatever. So if they lose, he's mentally preparing for that, the outcome of that. And he's also mentally preparing for if they win, how he's gonna build from there. So he has this, you know, kind of an unusual energy speech with his team, you know. But yeah, he lets them know to just go out there and do your best, and you will just go from there. So now we're in the game, and so far, Coach Yost's defense is not doing it. You know, they is not doing it. They keep letting the other team score on them, and this is obviously stressing Coach Boone out, because I don't even think Coach Yost knows about the situation where they can't lose. And even if he did, it wouldn't hurt him. It would benefit him, because they want to give it to him anyway. So I think the only person who knows about his situation is him. So this is especially stressful, and he's like, you need to tighten up that defense, Yost. And he was like, you just worry about your offense. He was like, if they score again, I'm taking over. You know, because it's like, Coach Yost is forgetting that, you know, I'm the one that it was my idea to keep you here, and you know what I'm saying? I feel like you ain't working with me as much as I feel like you should be. You know what I'm saying? Like, I have a lot more pressure on me than you realize, and you know, you is not making my job any easier. You're not making it no better. But yeah, he was like, if they score again, I'm taking over, because he knows the pressure that comes with if they lose. Okay, so we're still in the game, whatever, and PD, I think he fumbled the ball, and that's something that, you know, Coach Boone is stay on his head about, is don't fumble the football, don't fumble the ball, don't fumble the ball. Apparently, he did it during the game. Apparently, this is obviously a very important game, the very first game, or whatever. He's like being very extra strict now. He's like, you out of here, you know, or whatever. He took him out the game, and that really frustrated him, because he was expecting him to give him at least another chance or whatever. But you know, in this situation, you can't really give him, you know, can't give extra chances. He can't take a chance. Can't really take those type of chances. So anyway, he storms off to the side, you know, being upset, and Coach Yost goes over there and pretty much coddles him, and he was like, you know, PD was telling him how he was feeling about, you know, I just started, you know, and I feel like he's being unfair, and he was, and Coach Yost, he has a player out there that's really sucking on the defense. Okay, so he was like, you know what, won't you play for me? Won't you, you know, take Allen's spot or whatever. He's like, but I haven't practiced with a defense yet. It don't matter. As long as you know what to do, we can talk about the rest later. So he puts him back in the game and replaces and puts him on the defense, you know, his defense team, whatever. Coach Yost sees this happening, and he was like, do you see what he tells his assistant coach? He's like, do you see what I'm saying? Like, do you feel like he is trying to make me lose on purpose? He was like, come on now, Coach. He was like, do you think he might be doing this on purpose? Because it's starting to seem like it to me. So yeah, he didn't take too kind to that, because he felt like, you're undermining my authority. I don't care how you saw it. You should have found a way to see it how I see it. But yeah, we'll get to that later in a minute, I think. And Allen's dad is in the stands, and he's yelling as soon as they see him take them out the game. And Coach Yost's daughter is like, chill, because he was the reason why they've been getting scored on so much. So he was literally making them lose. So I don't know why you're upset. So anyway, they end up winning the game, and of course they want to go celebrate as a team. And of course, with the racial tensions of this time being, you know, as prevalent as it was, it seems like every corner they turn, they're reminded that they are the only ones that's changed in this city. Because, you know, the restaurants are still racist, you know, everything else in this town is still racist except for them. So they're kind of being reminded that of this in this moment of them trying to celebrate. They try to go to this restaurant, or at least Ronnie, he's from California. I guess they don't have such racial tensions over there. So he's from California. He moved all the way to Virginia, I'm guessing because his dad is in the military. And so he don't know how these racial tensions really is, how bad it really is over here. So he's thinking, because they're good with each other, that everybody else in the city is too. And so he's like, hey, let's go to the restaurant or whatever. He's like, nah, they don't really take our kind over there. He was like, no, I'm white, so of course if I'm inviting you, they'll let you go, right? And Petey's looking at him like, nah, that's not how it works, bro. He's like, no, I got you, bro, I got you. And so he decides to try to get them in a restaurant, and the dude was like, oh, I think we all full boys or whatever, and they didn't take him. And, you know, that pissed Petey off. He was like, I told you. He was like, he didn't know. Petey's like, I told him. What you mean he didn't know? He don't want to know. And so he got upset or whatever, you know, the thing. So it's like a whole situation that kind of reminds them, as a reminder that the rest of the city, just because they have changed, that doesn't mean the rest of the city have to. So then we cut to the scene where Denzel Washington, Coach Boone, is, you know, checking Coach Yost about undermining his authority, pulling that little stunt on the football field. Even though we won, I still ain't forgot about that BS you pulled. Okay, and I want to let you know, moving forward, that next time I say something, that's what I mean. And I don't need you undermining my authority. I don't care how, you know, bad the other side of the team is suffering. You let me figure that out too. You know what I'm saying? You need some help doing your job too, I can certainly help. But what you're not gonna do is undermine my authority. That's what we're not gonna do, okay? So yeah, he definitely checked him on that, and he was not feeling it. And also in that little meeting when Coach Boone was straightening out Coach Yost, he basically said a very important message to him. He was saying, "Listen, I can't not only can I not have you doing that to undermine my authority as a head coach of this team, but it's important that you don't coddle these black kids, because that's not how it's gonna be for them in life. You know what I'm saying? Like, if you make it easy for them now, they're gonna expect that to be the case beyond high school. And we all know as black people, we do not got it easy. So I want to be hard on them so that I can make them tough and make them, you know, basically better prepare them for life beyond high school. Because, you know, you coddling them ain't doing nothing but quibbling them. You're quibbling them for life doing that. So this goes much far beyond just my authority versus yours. This is black boys' lives that you're affecting here. So I thought that was very deep and important message, you know, for him to tell him in the movie. Okay, and then also the next scene cuts to Gary. He's getting ready to go play basketball with Julius, you know, because they're friends now. They're like basically best friends now. And when he was getting ready to go, Gary's mama was like, "Where you going?" He was like, "I finna go to the Berg." He was like, "What's the Berg?" "I finna go play basketball with Julius." She's like, "Are you kidding me? That black kid? Are you finna go meet up with a whole bunch of black kids?" He was like, "Yeah." He was like, and you know, his mom was like, "Gary, your father is still alive. Like, why are you embarrassing me like this?" And so anyway, she basically kept him from going. And so now it's tension between him and Julius, and that's affecting their performance on the field, because they mind is, you know, somewhere else. But yeah, so anyway, Julius pulls Gary to the side and was like, so I already knew yesterday you was all talking that you was never gonna make it to the Berg anyway, but now you're making us look bad out there on the football field, and I don't like that. And he was, you know, Gary was like, "Don't talk to me. You ain't got nothing to say to me, because basically you don't understand, you know, how it is for me in my household. My mama wouldn't let me go. Like, what you want me to say? What you want me to do? You know, I'm still a kid, you know, at the end of the day." So yeah, I guess they wasn't in a place of understanding each other in that moment. So anyway, we cut straight to a scene where it's showing Cheryl, which is Coach Yost's daughter, and Nikki, who is Coach Boone's daughter, and they're around the same age. So anyway, they kind of showing us the relationship between them, and how Cheryl is more of the tomboy. You know, she throws a basketball at Nikki, I guess, hoping to play basketball with her, shoot around or whatever with her. And Nikki is such a girly girl. She must have was like, she dodged that ball so quick. She was like, "I just did my nails." So Nikki looking at her like, "Oh my goodness, why they got me over here with this girl?" And so anyway, Coach Boone was over Coach Yo's house again. I think that's whose house they was at, and he was saying that because they barely won the game, you know, that I was just talking about just now, with when everybody head was somewhere else, they barely won. And he was like, "Well, I know next week we play Groverton, and I know we is not gonna survive another game that we played last night." So, you know, he decided to come up with some new plays. You know, have the math teacher look over some stuff, and he had him look over it or whatever. And you know, they're kind of focusing on trying to have the girls spend more time with each other. So I think he invited Cheryl. He's like, "Oh, and if you ever want to have Cheryl over, she's invited anytime." So Cheryl's over to Coach Boone's house, and instead of playing with Nikki, Cheryl is looking over football plays with Coach Boone over here, trying to tell him what's what. And he was like, "Why don't you go play with some pretty dolls or something?" He's like, "I don't like dolls. I like football." And then, of course, next thing you know, we hear a window of his break. Somebody threw something in his window. He goes and get his, and he goes and grabs his pew pew. Tell the girls to go to go in the back room or whatever. And of course, it was somebody, driving off, and it turns out that it was like um, Coach Yost's special assistant, whatever, for the special team. Because he's still like, despite everybody else getting with the program, it's literally like two people in this whole situation is still standing on business of them being racist, and that's Coach Yo's assistant coach for the special team or whatever, and it's Gary's, I'm gonna say, former best friend, Ray, because I feel like Gary's new best friend is Julius, the black guy. So I feel like we'll get to that part when we get to that part. But yeah, I think we kind of find out it was him that did that because he don't. I guess he don't like the way what he doing. I don't know. Like I said, racist people do weird things sometimes. So yeah, that was the person who threw a toilet through his window. I think we found out in real life he threw a toilet, but in the movie they just made it seem like he threw a brick. But I think in real life we found out that he threw a toilet through his window. Like, really, that's crazy. So now we cut to the scene where the press is like all up in Coach Boone's face about what happened, last night at his house, when somebody threw a brick through his window or whatever. And he doesn't know who did it yet, but as people who watch it, we know who did it. But anyway, so he's like, I want to know who threw this brick through my window. That's all I want to know. And then Coach Yost, he catches up with him, and he's like, maybe if you keep your mouth shut and quit being so prideful, that things like that wouldn't happen. He's like, you think I had something to do with it? The fact that I'm prideful, he called it his sins, the fact that, like, why is he calling it his sins anyway? You think my sins had something to do with, what happened last night or whatever? He was like, I'm sorry of what happened to your daughter and that she had to see that, but maybe she got a small taste of what my girls go through. Welcome to my life, Yost, because we go through this type of shit all the time. So I'm sorry that your daughter was just so frightened about what happens in black life, but that's reality. Sorry, sweethearts. But yeah. Oh, and then we see that the team decided to come together on their own, have a meeting on their own to get themselves more in the game, and like kind of just come together on their own without it having to be, one of the coaches all the time. So they actually came together and, really kind of pumped each other up or whatever, and really like, embraced each other or whatever. So they was already there early, before the coaches got there. They was ready for the next game or whatever already. And they, got together so much so that they even came up with a new little, I don't know what you would call it, but a little something that they can come out there to kind of perform and do before each game or whatever. Kind of like a new pre-game ritual or whatever kind of thing. But yeah, so the coaches is liking, or at least Coach Boone anyway, is liking the fact that they decided to come together on their own without him having to be the one to do it, get them to do it all the time. Yeah, the warm up. He wanted to let Coach Boone know that they wanted to warm up differently. I guess that's what you would call it. So they want the way that they come on the field or whatever. They wanted to do this little thing where they like everywhere we go, oh no, actually they come out and they like, we feel real good. We feel real good. So that's kind of like the way they want to enter the football field, and then they do their little thing that they came up with as far as the warm-up goes, and they like, everywhere we go, people want to know who we are, so we tell them we are the Titans. And they doing this little dance and the whole spiel, and then the other coach from the other team is looking at them like, who they think they are, the New York Jets or something? Like, why is they feeling themselves so hard? So they definitely plan on shutting them up now because they feel like they smelling themselves. So I feel like this is the game where things get real tense between the two teams. So now we're in the beginning of the game, and straight from the beginning of the game, things are already really tense because of that little show that the Titans decided to come out and do. So the other team really want to shut them up hard because they feel like they cocky at this point. So anyway, with now this is where Ray comes into play, because Ray is the only one on the team that still don't want to participate because he still want to be racist. So I don't understand football, so I'm just going along with what they saying on this movie, okay? So anyway, apparently Ray is in a position where he's supposed to be a blocker. He's supposed to block for, whoever else. And he wasn't doing his job blocking. So he missed the block on purpose, and it caused what's his name? Jerry, a quarterback named Jerry on the team to get injured and break a bone in his wrist. So he won't be throwing any more balls this season. So now Coach Boone had to replace him with Sunshine, with I forget what his real name is, but anyway, Ronnie Bass. There we go. They call him Sunshine. So he decides to get Sunshine to go in his place, which is, as a reminder, Sunshine is the one that impressed them by his incredible accuracy once Gary called him a fruitcake earlier on in the movie. So apparently he feels like he can do it, but Sunshine don't feel like he can do it. So of course Coach Boone got to give him this little speech this little inspiring speech to kind of motivate him to do it. So of course he does it, and he kills on the field, and they end up winning the game pretty much. So yeah. Oh, and then after the game, Gary meets up with his former friend Ray and asks him, why did you miss that block? I know you did it on purpose, and because I know you did it on purpose, I'm kicking you off the team. Well, he actually had a period where he talked to Coach Boone about it. He was like, I know Ray missed that block on purpose, and da-da-da. And so he basically got permission to kick him off the team. He got permission from Coach Boone to pretty much kick him off the team. So he meets up with Ray, and he was like, I know you missed that block on purpose, and I ain't having it. So, you off the team just like that. Okay, so now that Ray is off the team, things are finally looking up. Because they did win this last game that they played, because that inspiring speech Coach Boone gave to Sunshine or whatever. So it really worked, and he killed on the field. So anyway, now it's starting to show how the rest of the community is starting to embrace the Titan spirit, so to speak, because instead of I think there was a police officer that pulled up on Julius as he was going to visit Gary, and he thought he was in trouble. Black people, when the police come, we get a little nervous, especially back then. So the officer rolled down his window, and he was like, officer, can I help you? He was like, I just wanted to let you know there was a heck of a game y'all played last night, and I want to let you know to keep it up or whatever. And so I was like, oh, so the community is starting to embrace them. So everything is starting to look up. Gary and Julius, they done made up with each other or whatever. Julius goes inside Gary's house and hugs the hell out of his racist mama. Like, it's just great. And then now it's like kind of on the news or whatever that like these restaurants is giving is taking taking the Titans, both black and whites, you know what I'm saying, like they saying that they can eat free and everything. Like, the whole community, the whole town is starting to really embrace the Titans as a whole, not just, it's not really about color anymore, that people are actually starting to embrace this football team as a whole, and it's making it beautiful because it's, the racial tension is going down, it's starting to dissipate, and people are really focusing on the things that really matter. So, you know, this is really a really happy moment in the film. So anyway, it's showing it kind of shows like a montage of, you know, how the team is maintaining their undefeated status and how they actually are going out in the community doing things with each other, having fun. Like now it's not, they don't have to just have fun in private anymore. They can actually go out and do things in the community and have fun now that the community is embracing them. You know, now they can go to restaurants now and eat together and eat for free, and you know they're able to do activities with each other. You know, Gary don't have to worry about not showing up because his mama, and you know they're winning things, you know, or whatever, prizes or what is it, awards and stuff. I don't know. It just shows in the montage. I'm not sure what type of awards, but they're winning things together. They're winning as a team, and I love it. So anyway, the next scene kind of cuts to Coach Boone is at this, I don't know, some type of ceremony where they're talking about, you know, how he's, you know, nominated for the Hall of Fame or whatever. And, you know, in his mind, he's thinking, you know, he's thinking maybe next season or something like that, because he's obviously, you know what I'm saying, he's not in line to get it this season because he's not head coach anymore or whatever. But anyway, one of the other coaches pulls him to the side or whatever and was like, well, we do got a plan to get you that Hall of Fame, you know, this season. And, you know, basically kind of lets him know that they kind of plan on cheating in the next game to make Coach Yost lose so that he can officially win the Hall of Fame or whatever. And he's thinking like, I don't know about that. But yeah, at least, well, this is basically the scene where they're pretty much letting Coach Yost know that they plan on doing some shicey stuff in the next game. So fast forward to the next game. Coach Yost sees that they're cheating. It's very obvious. He's calling it out. He's, you know, calling it out to the referee, saying, you know, calling out, you know, them cheating basically, because it was very blatant. And you know, the referee is like, oh, he had 15 more yards. Da, 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 da. He's like, cheater. And so yeah, Coach Yost is looking at this play out, and it's not sitting well with him. So he decides to go up to the referee and say, I know what y'all doing. I know all about y'all plan to make him lose so that y'all could get me the Hall of Fame, but it's not worth it. I don't like this. I need y'all to cut it out and play fair, because it's not sitting well in my spirit. I can't sit by and let this happen. So I feel like I applaud that, because I don't know if every coach would have did that. They probably would have felt like pressure from, you know, they white people, the white side or whatever, to stay quiet and just let it play out. But he actually decided to take a stand for Coach Boone. I love that. So because Coach Boone pulled the referee to the side and let him know that he wasn't about that cheating, he wanted him to, you know, do the game, referee the game fairly and accordingly. You know, the Titans end up winning the game once again. And that person, I don't know who he was, the person that was telling Coach Yost about how they was planning on cheating, he was like, well, since you said something, you just lost yourself the Hall of Fame. And he's like, okay. You know what I'm saying? Like, Coach Yost is starting to turn the page, be on another page from all his white peers. You know what I'm saying? So I appreciate that. So now anyway, it's after the game, and the Titans want to celebrate again. And, you know, Julius is, you know, over there celebrating with his girl. Gary comes up to him, hey Julius, come hang with me, man. Let's go out in the town or something, or whatever. He's like, nah, I gotta hang out with my girl tonight. I gotta hang out with her tonight. And, you know, so that pretty much leaves Julius on his own to maybe find somebody else to hang out with, because, you know, that's his new BFF, you know. So now he can't hang out with his best friend basically now. So now he gotta find somebody else to hang out with. And, you know, it kind of comes down to him hanging out with his old friends, I guess you could say. His old racist friends. You know, they pull up in the car and it's like, hey, why don't you hang out with us, Gary? And he was like, nah, I don't think I want to hang out with y'all tonight. He was like, you know, and they kind of, I don't know, they kind of turned their nose up at him because they didn't want to because he didn't want to hang out with them and do the same probably racist things they used to do together before. Because, you know, Gary's a changed person now. So, anyway, so he's just like, maybe, I guess Gary's thinking he probably just got to hang out by himself now at this point. So he gets in his car and he's seeing everybody, you know, cheering for him on the side of the car or whatever. They like, you know, ooh, Gary, you know, he's like really soaking it up, and he decides to take off into traffic without looking and gets into a car accident. Now, I don't know, this is a movie that's based off of real life. I don't know if that's how it happened in real life, but in this movie, that's how they decided to play it out. And yeah, he you know, darts it out in traffic without looking, and he ends up getting hit by another car, you know, smashing into him. Now, in real life, they say he got hit by a drunk driver, and that's how he ended up injured or whatever. And he ended up being paralyzed from the waist down or whatever. So, yes, anyway, the next scene is very serious because everybody's at the hospital wondering, is Gary going to be okay? And it turns out that, you know, he did get paralyzed from the waist down. He won't be able to play football no more. Everybody's, you know, really hurt by this. The coaches are trying to figure out how they're going to move forward with this. And, you know, this ends up kind of bringing to people even more together, you know, by this happening, because in the next games moving forward, like before this happened, the stands were still separated. Like, even though a lot of stuff in the community was kind of working in favor of the team, the people who came to the game, they were still separated for a long time. So after Gary gets injured, you know, and he, you know, has to kind of move forward, the team has to move forward without him. Somehow they kind of brought the people who comes to the games together. So now the stands ain't separated with white people on this side, black people on this side no more. Like, now it's kind of like even the parents and supporters are coming together in the stands, you know, behind support for Gary. And, you know, of course, the team moving forward. So I think that's, you know, one of those points in a movie where, like, something bad kind of has to happen just for, like, the greater good to kind of flourish. So I kind of feel like I look at that as what kind of happened in this situation. But yeah. So anyway, so now that Gary is injured, you know, Coach Boone is kind of talking about press conferences and, you know, presenting as a strong united front, you know, even though they lost a player. Well, not lost, but, you know, they lost a player from the team because, you know, he's permanently injured. And, you know, he's just talking about how they're going to move forward, you know, replacing him and stuff. And Coach Yost is kind of like, you ain't going to take a moment to, you know, slow down now that we just lost a player. Like, you know, you just moving on like, you know, it's nothing. He was like, well, I want to win, so I gotta stay ahead of the game. He was like, not everything is about winning and losing. But Coach Joe said that, and Coach Boone is like, in his mind, he's thinking, yeah, it is to me. You don't understand clearly Coach Joe do understand the pressure, but he not acting like he understand the pressure. But anyway, yeah, so it is about winning and losing when it comes to Coach Boone, and, you know, his you know, everything depends on, you know, him winning. So yeah, it does. Everything is about winning and losing when it comes to Coach Boone. So yeah. So anyway, they win the state championship game, and everybody was celebrating. Gary was looking into other options for himself that he could do, as far as like wheelchair sports or whatever, and apparently. Coach Yost was able to help coach him in some of the wheelchair games, sports that he got into. So, you know, that was kind of good on that. And then, you know, of course, we're at the end of the movie now. So Cheryl is narrating the end, just like she narrated the beginning, and saying how, like, everything ended up working out, and how Gary, he ended up dying 10 years later, and that's what caused them to come back together, you know, I guess they were visiting his grave or something. No. That's what caused them to come back together after all those years. You know, when he died, the team and everybody came back together. You know, I guess at his funeral. Okay, so at the end credits, it kind of gives, you know, real life situation as far as what everybody is doing right now. So they're saying how Coach Boone, he decided to coach the Titans for 5 more years after that, and the fact that he lives a retired life in, you know, Alexandria, Virginia. I'm not sure if currently or not, but you know, after that, he decided to still, you know, live his retired life in Alexandria, Virginia. And Coach Yost, he decided to coach the Titans with Coach Boone for 4 more years after that, and he retired from coaching in 1990. You know, altogether. So this takes place in 1971. So he was coaching all the way until I was born, basically. It says how Coach Boone and Coach Yost actually became really good friends after that, like, you know, lifetime friends. I think that's really good, really beautiful. It's also saying how Gary Bertier was a 2-time All-American, and he became a leader and an inspiration to the handicap community once he started playing, you know, handicap sports once he got injured. Okay, and they're saying that he was killed in a car crash by a drunk driver in 1981, and the gym at TC Williams was renamed after him. So in real life, you know, he didn't survive that car crash, and in real life he was hit by a drunk driver, and not necessarily because he just decided to dart into traffic because he wasn't looking, I'm assuming. So yeah, there's that on that. So they basically said Julius, after he graduated high school, pretty much after he got done with high school, he pretty much started working for the city of Alexandria. And how Julius and Gary Bertier remained close friends until Gary died. So I think that was sweet that they, you know, so him and Julius and Gary remained really good friends until Gary died, and I think that it's really awesome because the same dynamic played out with Coach Boone and Coach Yost. So I think that's not very nice that they played out like that. Okay, and Coach Yost's daughter, Cheryl, she continued to help him coach on the field for as long as he was coaching for her. And they said that Ronnie Bass, aka Sunshine, became the starting quarterback at the University of South Carolina, and he lives in South Carolina and works for ABC. Is it ABC? I don't know. Let me see if that's what they say. Yeah, he worked. Yeah. Oh, and Petty Jones remained in Alexandria and went to work for the Alexandria school system, and continues to work there today. Well, not today, but probably at the release of this film, he probably was. Okay, and then Jerry Harris, aka the Rev, retired from football in 1971 in the 1971 season, and he attended Federal City College, and at the time of this movie was currently working for U.S. Air. Louis Lastic, he played 4 years of college football at Austin P State University. He or is it Austin Peay State University? He graduated and is now, at the release of his movie, a successful businessman in Tennessee. So that's good for him. Okay, so that pretty much wraps up my first official review on one of my favorite movies, or at least in this format anyways. So yeah, like, I figured the best way to really kind of do it so that I can kind of keep up with what all different parts of the movies that I want to talk about, and just also kind of allow for the viewers who haven't seen this movie or is not familiar to kind of know what's going on with it as well. But yeah, this is one of my favorite movies. I did not think I was gonna like it at first because I thought it was strictly about football only, but it turns out that's not the case. This movie is really more about, you know, I guess, kind of changing the face of racism and showing how, you know, people are better for the community when they focus on, you know, like relationships with each other and like the important stuff, like, you know, like with racial tensions aside and all the stupid stuff. So I feel like this movie is more about showing like how better as a people we can be when we come together and don't let racial tensions and, you know, other things outside of just, I don't know, finding a way to come together so that we can be greater together as a people, kind of thing. And the fact that it showed in the movie that like once the racial tensions kind of dissipated, how much better things was going on in the community. Like they were able to have fun with each other, so much more fun. Like things just went so much better. Like things ran so much, you know, so much better in the community just by the Titan showing the example of how it could look like or what it can mean when you actually, you know, get to know each other for who you are, the character of your being versus what you look like, and, you know, succumbing to the outside pressures of people who still are, you know, prejudiced or racist or whatever, and, you know, kind of showing the people who don't want to come together how much better it could be when you do come together. So yeah, this movie was definitely so much more about, you know, so much, it's about so much more than just football. Because originally, when it came out, I think this movie came out in 2000. I remember I watched it probably like around 2002-ish or something like that, because I waited a while to watch it because I honestly thought it was going to be about football. But as soon as I put it in and watched it on the VHS, I fell in love with it ever since. And I was like, oh yeah, this is definitely one of my favorite movies. I can't believe I held out on myself from watching this movie for so long. But anyway, I hope y'all enjoyed my first attempt at giving a long form review. And I don't know, I guess I might see y'all in my next one.